Hello, friends. Good morning, and welcome back to Elaborations with SchellingtonGrin. I'm Ava, your Gothic Witch Big Sis, and before we get started on today's episode, I would like to take a moment to be real with all of you. This week kind of slipped through my fingers. Between having flare-ups with chronic illness and chronic pain, having migraines because of that, also dealing with it being my time of the month, and my body just generally telling me, hey babe, slow the heck down. I didn't wind up uploading like I normally would, and I did not stick to the schedule that I have been creating and then rewriting for myself. And honestly, that pause taught me something. It taught me something that I've been really good at giving this advice to other people, but not following it. And maybe I need to take a leaf from my own book and start following that advice a little bit better, especially if I'm the one hopping on the mic and helping all of you with my episodes. I need to get better about following my own advice, right? Right. But this pause made me realize that I was attempting to push myself to show up at times that didn't align with my actual rhythm. And that's not what I want this podcast to be about. And that's not what I want my life to be about. I don't want to reflect that out into the world while simultaneously giving people the advice that I'm giving them. Because that wouldn't mean that I was showing up authentically. That would mean that I was feeding you the spoon-fed versions of advice that I have been given, that I'm not actually practicing what I'm preaching, right? And we're not doing that. So I've decided to shift things a bit once again, and hopefully this new change will actually be a whole lot better, a whole lot more seamless, and will actually be the right thing for this podcast going forward. From here on out, new episodes, including bonus ones on the weekends, will go live at 7:07 a.m. Central Time. So that will be still every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then my bonus episodes on the weekends. And the reason you're hearing this on Saturday, and I'm going to be doing another episode tomorrow, is because it is the end of October. A lot is worth being said at the end of October. I'll be doing a couple of Halloween episodes for Halloween weekend, and Halloween weekend is also Day of the Dead weekend, so we are going to be having an episode on Saturday, November 1st, and Sunday, November 2nd to celebrate that, and that is also my birthday weekend, so happy early birthday to me. And I'm so excited. I've been planning a Halloween birthday party for the past couple of months, and I'm ready, you guys. I'm ready. I am so ready. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, I am so ready. But in any case, it feels energetically right to start doing everything at 7:07 a.m. Central Time, because it gives me that breathing room. It allows me to give you time to tune in whenever it fits your flow. Maybe you'll be tuning into this during your morning coffee, or while you're on your lunch break, or even during your evening wind down. And it works beautifully for my listeners around the world who may be catching this living in Europe or even in Australia, because I know that I do have some listeners that are a little bit more global and a little bit more international. So I want this time to be good for everybody, not just me. So that is why I am now going to be releasing episodes at 7:07 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and my bonus episodes on the weekends. So I really hope that this time will work for everyone, because it's going to be the morning coffee episode for my people who are centrally located like I am, and for my people on the Pacific Northwest, and on the West Coast, and it might be that breakfast run or that early morning at the office for my people on the East Coast, and it's going to be the afternoon lunch break, middle of the day kind of energy for my people in the UK and Europe. So this moment of reflection, though, also got me thinking about something deeper. How sometimes, even in our spiritual lives, we end up performing instead of practicing. So, what I invite you to do for today's episode is to grab a notebook if you can, get cozy if you're at home, and if you're listening while you're commuting, please drive safe and keep your focus on the road. And if you're listening in the office, please feel free to share this with your office friends because maybe they might get a little something out of this too. Without further ado, let's dive right into today's special episode. So the heart of the topic for today is going to be that fine line between sharing and performing when it comes to your spiritual practice. Because let's be honest, it is so easy to fall into the trap of what I like to call spiritual performance. We live in an age where everyone is posting their rituals, their moon spreads, their morning affirmations, their spells with lo-fi tracks or even their favorite music. Like I've even seen people posting spell work with Sleep Token as their background track on Instagram. And it looks stunning and it's very eye-catching. And if you're sharing your practice with others who are new to their practice and you're trying to give them some tips, like that's all fine and dandy and I don't begrudge it. I follow so many other witches and tarot readers and creators on Instagram, and I used to have TikTok, so I would see it all the time, and I used to be a part of Witch Talk. Yes, I did. But I know that we like to share these things, and it's good to share these things. In fact, I have an Instagram page where I share daily or semi-daily tarot readings. But somewhere along the line, it stops feeling like your practice and it starts feeling more like content creation. Now, don't get me wrong, if you are an influencer or a content creator, I totally still support. I mean, I wouldn't be engaging with others on Instagram if I did not want to see their content and I did not support the fact that they are using their platforms to educate or inform or anything like that, right? That would be calling myself a hypocrite because I'm also a content creator. But I am simply saying this to remind us not to get so swept up in the content creation part of it that our practice feels more like a chore, right? And full transparency here, I have caught myself doing it. I have caught myself doing it with this podcast. I have caught myself standing over my altar like, wait, do I need to record this? I have caught myself journaling something deep and immediately wondering, would this make a good post on Instagram? Or should I write about this? Should I share this on Vocal Media or Medium or anything like that? Should I share this with the world? Do I want to give people that peek into my mind and really turn this into a podcast script or anything? And Spirit, in her infinitely sassy way, whispered, "Sweetheart, are you here to heal or are you here to hashtag?" And I had to sit there and just say, you know what, touche, universe, because you're calling me out on my BS right now, and I need that. But it's such an important question. At the end of the day, are we doing this work because it feeds our soul or because it feeds a pretty algorithm? And here's what I have learned. The energetics of your authentic practice is that spiritual work is not content, it is communion. And not every part of your practice needs to be public to be powerful. It's one thing if you are sharing a spell working to be able to inform people how to do a specific type of spell, or you've gotten consent from the people that bought a spell from you, and you're wanting to show kind of what can sometimes happen when you're doing let's say a love spell. Those are the kinds of spells that we see more often being shared with the consent of the person who has bought the spell from the spell worker and creator. They'll share those spells because they are so powerful and there is a lot of energy that goes into them. And it can be very educational and very informative to share your work with other people, especially if you're doing the work to be a content creator around doing spells and doing tarot readings and doing different witchcraft practices or spiritual practices, and you're wanting people to buy your services. It can be very powerful and very informative to post your spell work on the gram or on TikTok so that people can connect with you and actually be like, okay, they know what they're doing. I trust them, and I trust when I get a reading or a spell work from them that they're doing something worth my time and worth my money, right? And worth my energy. But some of the most transformational moments that you can ever have are done completely in private. No curated altar, sometimes not even candles, no aesthetic lighting, no camera recording everything. Just you in your pajamas, a cup of tea, maybe your journal so that you can jot down some harsh truths. Or if you do read tarot like me, maybe it's just sitting there with a messy bun at your kitchen table, in your pajamas, no bra, and just letting the cards speak to you, right? And that is the thing about authenticity. It's not always pretty. It's not always Pinterest worthy. It's not always social media worthy, but it is so effing potent. It's even more potent than anything that you would think of that might be a little potent. You've thought of something. You're thinking of something right now, whether it's a drink or it's perfume or it's that musky, dusty, crusty smell coming from the break room because somebody didn't clean out their lunch in the fridge, looking at you. But, whatever you can think of, this energy is going to be more potent than that. Because when you're tapping into truth, it's going to rock your world. There's no other way to say that. It's really going to rock your world. It's going to F your ass up, okay? But you don't owe anyone proof of your spiritual growth. You don't have to turn your healing into a performance piece. You can use it as a backbone for something educational like a podcast episode, or you can share it with others if that is the sauce for you. But I want to caution you, when you are doing these things, when you are doing the content creation part of it, you're still only going to allow the internet to see the highlight reel. But your spirit is going to deserve your wholeness. So even when you hop off of the mic, when you go back to daily life, when you aren't recording, when you aren't creating content, what are you doing with the rest of your energy? What are you doing with the rest of that wholeness? And how are you showing up even when you need to slow down and you need to take a rest? How are you doing that? Are you doing things that are invigorating for you? Are you doing things that are actually going to recharge you? Or are you stressing about getting the content out? It's got to be done this way. It's got to be done at this time. Otherwise, I'm going to be a failure. You can fail and not be a failure. And we're going to talk about that in another episode at a later time. But let's keep rolling with this one for right now. The key takeaway that I want you to grab from this episode, and if you have a notebook out, or even if you can put a note in your phone really quickly, I encourage you to do so. When we make space for those quiet, unshared moments, that is when we stop performing peace and we start building it intentionally. When we make space for those quiet, unshared moments, that is when we stop performing peace and we start building it intentionally. Why do we fall into this need to perform, though? I like to call this the validation trap. Let's unpack this for a minute, because it's not about vanity, it's about that want of connection that we fall into this validation trap. When you share your altar, or when you share pictures of your altar, or you share a video of your altar space and you cleaning it, or you share your tarot pull of the day, unless you're doing something like a collective energy tarot reading, or you're being really intimate, you're being really vulnerable with your practice when you're sharing it to social media. And people are commenting things like, wow, this resonates for me. Wow, now I don't feel so alone in my practice. Wow, I'm connecting with somebody who actually does something similar to me. And it's beautiful to have that connection. And I don't say this to say that you should stop connecting with people, you should get off of social media completely, you should give up, you should stop creating content, you shouldn't want connection. I am not doing that at all. Connection is so beautiful, and the fact that we have the ability to connect at such a global scale now is something that we need to just be more mindful of utilizing in healthier ways. Because when we are connecting with other people and people are commenting on those things that we're posting, we're creating communities. We're creating little online communities for ourselves and for others who are walking a similar path. And it is so beautiful, because at the end of the day, we know that we can lean on that community as well. But the danger is when that becomes your only source of connection or affirmation, because that kind of validation can still fade very fast. Because what's happening is that you're seeking the external validation, but you're not giving yourself enough time for the internal validation. You're not sitting with yourself enough and validating yourself enough and being present with yourself enough. And spiritually, that can pull you out of alignment, because that performance is often going to come from fear. Fear of not being seen, fear of being seen too much, fear that you're not doing enough, fear that your practice doesn't look like everyone else's, fear that you have to do the same thing as somebody else just for it to be valid, just for you to get the viewership and the listenership and whatever you're going for. And I'm here to tell you, just because you're not doing it the same way as another creator doesn't mean that what you're creating does not deserve to be put out there. I'll give you a couple of examples. There are so many spiritual channels that you can tune into on YouTube. There's Robert Zink's channel. I can't remember the name of his. There is Aaron Doughty. There's Jake Ducey. There's Malika is my guardian angel. Her name is Chelsea. Malika was her sister. And I love the fact that she uses that as her channel name. And I am not sponsored by any of these channels. I'm just using them as examples. But there's also Sammy Ingram. And Sammy Ingram talks about robotic affirmation a lot. And there are so many sections of spirituality that you can find on YouTube. You can go the Sammy Ingram route and you can look up people like Sammy Ingram and similar people who are talking about robotic affirmations if that's your thing. You can follow people like Jake Ducey and Aaron Dowdy, who are a little bit more spiritually nomadic, and they've moved around a lot, and they've gone to different places, and they've held different seminars, and they do different types of meditations for money and, activating your highest self and different things like that on their channel. You can go to Malika's channel, or Chelsea's channel, I should say, and she'll talk about the nuances of spirituality, and she'll help you dissect what Neville Goddard was trying to say and what Florence Scovel Shinn was trying to say, and she'll help you understand them a little bit better. Depending on whatever you're looking for in the spiritual sciences and the types of spiritual work you're trying to do, you're going to find all of these different people. And there are tons more. There are so many other spiritual creators that are going to come up on your feed that are going to be similar. And there are some that are going to be completely different. But just because Jake and Aaron and Robert Zink and Shelley Bullard and Sammy Ingram have all been doing it a little bit longer than she has doesn't stop Chelsea from creating stuff on her channel and putting out her message. Just because somebody might be putting out a similar message to Chelsea doesn't mean that she's not going to put her own flair on it and share it with the world. And she's not out here comparing herself to other people either. She is doing her own little thing, and you should check out her channel. It's Malika is My Guardian Angel. I'll probably link it in the description box just to, send you a little recommendation and send you a video from the channel that I talked about. Not as a plug. I'm not being sponsored. But I do love directing people to her channel because her vibe is so calming. And her aesthetic and the way that she does her videos, it gives this almost analog vibe to it. And then she sometimes will put imagery that's like driving through a city and it's like anime and different things like anime imagery or even retro wave imagery, and sometimes she'll use lo-fi music in the background, and it's so beautiful and it works. It's so amazing. I love her channel so much. I haven't watched a video in a while, but I love her channel, and I will definitely find one of my favorite videos by her and I will put it in the description box, so if you want to check that out. But her vibe is so different to somebody like Aaron or Jake. And she knows it. So she's going to lean into that and she's going to be her authentic self while she's sharing this information. And that's masterful. But the reason I give these examples is to say that your practice, your way of doing things, your way of showing up, your way of creating content, whatever it is that you do is not meant to look like everyone else's. It's meant to be yours and yours alone. So whatever you do with it, as long as you feel that what you are doing is right, you are doing it from a place of good intention, you are doing it from a place of authenticity, you are owning your work, you are owning your word, you are owning who you are. That is the most important part. Not being like everybody else, not being scared to share a similar message. It is being authentically you. And your candlelight in the quiet is enough. Your whispered prayer is enough. Your shadow work that no one knows about is more than enough. And when you decide to share that with the world through the content that you're making, it's also more than enough. But I want to bring it back to the practice for a minute. Doing it for you, not for the gram. So here is the challenge. The next time you are doing something sacred, I want you to keep it just for yourself. Just this one time. If you want to share a little anecdote about how it went for you, totally cool. And if you are a content creator already and you know that you are creating content, maybe differentiate between the content that you want to share with others versus the content that you want to do just for you. Don't post it. Don't record it. Don't even so much as reach for your phone. Simply allow yourself to exist in that moment unfiltered and unobserved. Because when you allow yourself that time, that is the true essence of practice. The kind that cannot be quantified, performed, or measured by engagement status. Because when you stop performing for others, you make space to connect deeply with yourself. And that is when your practice becomes a living, breathing extension of you. So here is your gentle reminder as we sign off that your spirituality does not have to be seen to be sacred. Your growth is valid even if nobody is out there clapping for it but you. And sometimes the most powerful rituals are the ones that happen in silence, away from the camera, away from the world, but right in alignment with your own spirit. Even if that alignment is laying in bed a little bit later than you normally would because your body says, we need to catch up on some sleep debt. And if this resonated with you, I would love if you shared it with someone else who has been feeling the same pressure to perform their healing. Let's all take a step back together and remember that your peace does not need an audience. And if you would like to let me know how you're feeling about this episode, feel free to share it on Instagram in your Instagram story and tag me in it. You can find my Instagram link at the Linktree link in the description box. And you can find all of my other links to readings, other social media, and my website, and so much more through that same link. And as always, this has been another enlightening episode of Elaborations with SchellingtonGrin. Thank you for taking this time out of your day to sit with me and to tune in. I'll see you again tomorrow in the next episode. Bye!